Welcome to Bikers and Backroads, a podcast discussing all things Harley Davidson. We're your hosts, Jason and the Big Z, so sit back while we take this episode and put it in the wind on Bikers and Backroads. Thank you guys for downloading another episode of the Bikers and Backroads podcast. We thank you for joining us tonight and listening to us wherever you can find your podcasts on audio streams. We're on Podbean, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, everywhere you can get all of your favorite podcasts. We're also on Twitter or X at BMB_pod. So look for us there. Join us. Share content. Find ways to interact with us. And we're looking forward to growing this community and learning some things about you guys as we try to drive this channel into things that people would like to know about. So whether you're a seasoned rider or you're just dreaming of your first Harley Davidson, we think this is the place for you, and we thank you for meeting us here tonight. So we're ready to get going, so kick back, and we're going to ride into this week's conversation. What's up, Z?
Ready to look at the weekend and put this week in the rearview mirrors. How about you?
Oh, yeah, been a long one. We're going to just go ahead and get into some things tonight. We're ready to go into some things. First, we want to thank everyone who's commented and shared some things. So last week we teased that we were going to actually talk about our top 5 favorite tank badges, but due to some technical difficulties, and we figure if you're riding around listening to us on an audio podcast, visualizing what our favorite tank badge would be very hard. So we also had a listener or a viewer reach out to us with a comment. And basically the comment was, hey, I'm new to riding. I don't ride much. We've heard both of those. But if I was thinking about getting a Harley Davidson, what would be my bike that you guys would recommend, or what direction would you point us to? So tonight, when we bring you our top 5, it's going to be like a 6 or 7, actually, of some bikes we've looked at that are cost effective, ways to get involved in your Harley Davidson journey. And just some suggestions we have. I think we both compiled some lists, and we're going to talk about some pros and cons of each bike and things of that nature. But tonight we're going to start by talking about our part and mod of the week is something that's on Xander's bike.
Yeah. So, as you know, we talk about a part and mod every week, and this week's we're going to be doing the thrashing bar bag, particularly the bar bag plus that they have. I run this on my motorcycle. All of the mods we've done so far are currently on my bike. So, I really enjoy this bar bag, and it gives you a lot of space, really, that you would not think you'd be able to fit everything in this. Having the ability to have some stuff right there at your hands on your bar bag, is really nice. You can put quick little things in there, such as your wallet, your keys if you've got extra keys other than just your motorcycle key, or some bikes even now are the keyless from Harley. And then just easy to grab things that you may need while riding, like quick cash. Say you're doing a road trip going through a toll, having the ability to just unzip real quick right there by your hand and grab it and go. This is a very good, money spent mod that you will not regret, and it's easy to remove and install. You have 4 Velcro straps that wrap around the 2 around the bar on either side, and then 2 around the risers on either side, or however you have to mount it on your motorcycle, particularly. So we're going to get into some statistics on this bag. So on the inside, you have a microfiber pocket for the front protection on your sunglasses. The Plus has a specific slot for just sunglasses, and at first I didn't know if I really needed that feature and spend the extra money, but man, it comes in very, very useful. I didn't think I would like it as much, but having the ability to put my glasses somewhere else than all of my other things to keep the lenses from getting scratched, and you have that microfiber lining on the inside. It's a very nice touch, and I think it's worth the upgrade. Due to the molly straps, it's really easy to put on stock bars or ape hangers or any T-bar setup. And the molly straps are your 4 Velcro straps with the kind of tactical strapping around the outside of it. Each one is they're not sewed together, they're looped, so you can run those Velcro straps and it gives you all of the adjustments that you need. This is, like I said, great to hold your wallet, keys, whatever it is that you may need, easy access to grab, even water bottles, and it is all in all a great addition for some small storage solutions. And I suggest, coming from the buyer and just all in all, the person who's running it, I would highly say that this is worth putting on your motorcycle as well.
Again, we like the boys at Thrashing. We appreciate all their parts. The bar bag was one of the first things we bought for Xander's motorcycle, and he uses it a lot. We never leave that he doesn't have it strapped on his bars. He uses it to hold things, sometimes just his license and registration for his bike and things of that nature. But yeah, he easily throws a water bottle or anything in there. We had that just a long time before we went to the over the fender storage bags, the saddle bags we use. So now we're going to go into another segment we really like. It was a King of Baggers weekend. It was at the Circuit of Americas in Austin, Texas. Race 1 saw Hayden Gillum on the Revzilla Motul Vance & Hines Harley Davidson win his second race of the year. Second in the race 1 on Saturday was Loris Baz. He's an Indian S&S factory team rider. And the third place was Rocco Landers on a Harley Davidson. This race also saw Kyle Wyman come in fourth place, which locked up the championship for the points for him for the season. This is Wyman's second total championship in King of the Baggers, and we're Kyle Wyman fans. The factory Harley Dyno Jet team rolled into it. He raced really well, came out on Sunday, was vying for a podium, and crashed out with a few laps to go. So that leaves us with Sunday's race 2 results. At the first place was Troy Herfoss on an S&S Indian factory team. Second place was Loris Baz on the S&S factory Indian team. And third was Bradley Smith, the new addition this year to the Dynajet factory Harley Davidson team. So it's nice to see Bradley Smith running up there with the big boys. Again, another podium for factory Harley Davidson, the Dynajet team. Those teams all seem to work really well together. We love King of Baggers. I'm really looking forward to getting to a race next year. They come to Moto America, brings it to Ohio, and that's our closest track. So we're trying to get there. Hopefully by then we'll have grown this community a little bit. You guys could come out and meet us. It'd be a great time. So that being said, we've come through a few of our segments pretty fast because we want to get into this. 2 comments this week. One of our comments went on about when we talked about our top 5 upgrades on a stock bike. And the comments were, hey, I can really relate to Jason because it seemed like all of my upgrades were comfort driven, like I'm the old guy in this. But let's be honest, that's where my mind goes when I'm out riding now is comfort. To the point that upgrading my bike will be a 100% decision on comfort, slightly some performance, but mostly on comfort and the ability to log long mile days as we venture to increase our trip range. And then the other comments were, man, I really can get with Xander because his is all performance driven. They want to go fast. They want to look good and sound good and things of that nature. So those comments are really helping us in what we bring to the market. I'm 49 years old. I'm going to have things looking like a 49-year-old eyes, feeling them through 49-year-old body. Riding at the end of the day, it takes a toll. It makes you tired. You're mentally tired if you're paying attention. But someone in Xander's situation, he's 20. So what do you look at, man? At the end of the day, what's a ride feel like for you?
At the end of the day, on a ride, I'm hoping to have as much fun as I possibly could. I'm hoping to have felt that I rode to my limits and my full potential, and did the best on that road that I felt comfortable doing. I also want to feel that I found and am testing and pushing the limits on my bike, but all in all, staying safe. So the upgrades I do to my motorcycle, I'm thinking, how can I make this go as fast and as hard and as powerful as possible, as safely as I can, which is why some of our modifications were the same. You know, suspension is a good one that's going to, one, help you ride better, but two, it's going to upgrade the safety and stability you have at speed and turns and things like that. Where I might be looking at a certain part for the performance, though, you look at it for the comfortability of it. And a lot of those mods do go hand in hand together because they'll help on both. But just having the two different viewpoints, I've got more of the, you know, I'm trying to see if this bike can go as fast as it possibly can all the time everywhere, and you're trying to get there as comfortably as you can all the time everywhere. So these comments that y'all hear, we loved and laughed at them and loved reading them, but we're just super happy to finally get some people interacting with us, and we love to interact back with y'all. So like Dad touched on earlier, this episode is going to be more directly due to those comments, and we're going to try to interact with that. And hopefully in the future we get to do some more interactive episodes just like this one.
We respond to every comment, whether you think we don't or anything. If you watch it and you just say something funny, I'm going to respond something funny too. We're not going to go down the rabbit hole of people just criticizing what our opinions are. This is our show. It's our opinions. I'm not shy of what my opinion is. I don't think Xander is either. We're pretty thick-skinned when it comes to that. But at the same time, this is us doing what we love to do. We're going to talk about things we like. And if it's somebody else's different opinion, I definitely want to hear the opinion, but we're not going to just go into tearing each other down. We're not that. We haven't had any negative opinions. Let's just start there. I'm not wishing those or wanting those, but if you want to challenge or question our thought process or get in depth in some of the questions or what you're asking for in your comments, we'll be glad to entertain those. It helps drive content, and that's what we're doing. We're not just looking for clicks or anything. These are true things we like to talk about. We have ideas and we have things that we enjoy doing, and we're just here to share them with you. We're trying to grow this, and if it grows slow, it's fine. We're going to keep doing this because we're having a heck of a lot of fun doing this. So now to our lengthiest topic tonight. It's going to be talking about someone approaches us and they say, hey guys, I've either ridden sport bikes all my life, or man, I haven't ridden a bike in 30 or 40 years. You guys seem to be in tune a little bit more than I am with what's going on in the industry. And I'm looking at getting on my first Harley Davidson. But I have a budget of, say, 10 grand. What's some bikes I could go look at, touch, ask about, try to get a test ride on? What are some things I need as far as safety and technology? Harley Davidson as a company has advanced a lot in its technology, but if you're looking for the safety and technology at the top of the game right now, you're going to not be in that $10,000 range on a Harley Davidson, unless you're looking at something with ridiculously high miles. So we started looking, and we set a parameter, or I did when I started looking. I'm not sure what your parameters were. Xander working out of town, so we communicate things through the phone. But I was looking, and I started my search at bikes within 150 miles of me that are under 20,000 miles and at $10,000 or less.
And let me interrupt you for a second. Depending on whether you're an older or a newer rider, you need to think about this same thought. The $10,000 parameter that we're putting on this, you have to have one of two mindsets. Are you trying to get all you can out of the one bike for $10,000, or are you willing to go in at a $7,000 bike put in $3,000. Then you're $10,000 into the bike you want, but you've paid $7,000 for the bike you're getting, and you've spent $3,000 on making it your own or building it into what you're doing, or sometimes even fixing something. But that allowed you to get some wrenching done on it to learn the motorcycle a little bit more before you take it on its first ride or take it on its first long ride that you want to do. Me and Dad might have a little bit of different opinions on this because I am that person. I had a budget. I bought my motorcycle for the price I bought it for, and I have put a significant amount, if not almost as much, into it now, but it's mine and I enjoy it, and I love working and adding on to my bike. Dad, per se, you found your bike for about what I've got into mine after buying and purchasing parts for it, and you love it how it is. Now, there are some smaller things that you would like to change as well that are not as expensive, and I like to, and there are some deeper modifications that get into the pricier side that I look at doing that he doesn't necessarily need to do because his bike is, one, a few years newer, significantly less miles, and it just fits you and suits you, and you enjoy it for the authenticity of what your bike is. And my bike that I also enjoy the authenticity of, I also want to make it my own and stand out a little bit. Now, that could be the older versus younger, or simply just the two different mindsets. So, as you're going into this list and listening to us tell you about it and thinking about this on your own, be thinking about the mindset you're going to have. Do you want to spend a little less to put in more money to meet your budget? Or do you want to get a bone stock bike with as low miles as you can and your full budget all at one time?
I will say there's no perfect motorcycle. I bought my motorcycle knowing that I wanted to put roughly 2,000 to 3,000 miles on it before I started messing with it, so that I could have an educated place to start of what I wanted to do to improve my riding experience on this motorcycle. It meets all the needs. It has plenty of power. It travels well. It is a cruiser. It's not a pavement pounder. It's not a touring bike. I'm not going to make it into a touring bike. It's 120 miles and you got to get off and stretch your legs. That's what it is. It doesn't have a fairing. You're in the wind the entire time. But that's what I bought because that's what I wanted. We're 2 years into my ownership of my bike. We've put almost $3,000 of miles on it. So now I am compiling my list of what I want to do to change my bike. You'll hear us talk about things like your rider's triangle. It's your hand placement, your butt, where your seat is, and where your feet are. That triangle and how comfortable you are. Can you improve your rider's triangle by changing the height of your bars? Can you change your floorboards? Can you change your foot pegs? Can you get a more comfortable seat? All of that messes with your rider's triangle. So there's things I've done for my rider's triangle. I changed my seat. That was the first thing. But my seat was not comfortable to do 100 miles on. So that seat I'm very comfortable with. So I knew buying my bike that it wasn't perfect. They're not perfect from the factory. Sometimes they're choked down on the motor because it has to pass all these emissions and things. So there are definite things you're going to be pros and cons about a motorcycle. The beautiful part about Harley Davidson is the aftermarket is so active and there's so much you can do to change the platform, not only just to blow money and make it your own or what to say, and it is making it your own, but you can totally improve the performance, the comfort, the ride, the look, and everything about it. Now, if you put a bunch of money into it, are you going to get that money back? No, because you're making it for you, and the guy that you may sell it to may love 90% of what you did, but he's going to be thinking about the 10% of things he's going to change or she's going to change as our bikes go. So we looked at some things, and Xander has some bikes listed, and he looked at some bikes for sale. So we really looked at bikes around us for sale that I felt would be, mechanically sound. I believe in my mind that someone just getting in or buying their first Harley Davidson probably isn't the most comfortable wrenching on their bikes. So they don't want to spend all week wrenching on it so that they can go ride it on a Saturday or a Sunday and then spend the rest of the weekend or the upcoming week fixing on it or tightening everything down that's rattled loose and things of that nature. So we looked at some bikes that have some proven durability. They're not the newest, but they're not old. And in the world of Harley Davidsons, you hear the only competition for a new Harley Davidson is a used Harley Davidson. The used Harley Davidson market is so active and it is very saturated right now, and there are some great deals. People still want to go buy $30,000 and $40,000 new bikes, and hey, I'm here for it. That's awesome. But you can get into riding Harley Davidsons where everybody says, oh, that's a rich man's hobby. You can go buy a $6,000, $7,000 Harley Davidson, ride it for the next 10 or 15 years, leave it bone stock and only do routine maintenance, and you've not put as much into it as maintaining a vehicle, a car, or anything.
I mean, we're the perfect people to ask that question about. You've got Dad here who, when he bought his bike, is working his job, he's in his career, and is doing good. We both have a motorcycle that's around the same price. I bought mine that was as a broke high school kid that was working a part-time job and cut grass on the side. So, like Dad said, the used market is saturated right now, and you're coming up on the time of the year where it is going to be time to buy. Guys are ending the year. There's going to be one guy that said, I don't ride enough, so I'm going to have to sell. I'm going to sell this bike. And there's going to be someone looking to get that, and you're going to be able to scoop it up for a great deal. And it's just all in all it's coming to that season that you are going to see a lot more bikes for sale, and you're going to be able to get a better deal most of the time, whether it be brand new or used. Harley Davidson has to have both sides of the story. We have to have new bikes being bought for Harley to continue to be able to produce and make cool new changes to your frames and upgrading everything from the motor to completely revamping one of their models. But you also have to have guys that are willing to buy a used bike that's a couple years old and keep them running and keep them on the road, just so that it's a part of history that we don't ever want to see go away, but two, that keeps all of the aftermarket for everybody else still up. Companies can't make money selling a part that doesn't exist for a bike anymore. We have to have used Harleys, but we've got to have new Harleys too. And if you're coming into this, you've got to be able to tell yourself what your budget is, what you're looking for, and or if you're wanting to, take a chance on a used motorcycle, or if you're wanting to just go all out and get new. So let's dive into these bikes that me and you have made this list of.
And we're going to start with them now.
So let's start with, you cannot talk about an entry-level Harley Davidson and not mention a Sportster. And we're going to give it credit where credit's due. We both think that a 1200 Sportster Custom or your Iron 1200, the newer ones that they no longer make anymore, are just, it's great bikes. They still had you have the Evolution motor, which is tried and true.
Evolution motor saved Harley Davidson.
Yeah. And they're small, they're lighter than your bigger bikes, and you can find them cheap anywhere. I mean, you're talking anywhere of a price point from $2,000 and $3,000 for some older ones and that's for your guy that isn't scared to work on a motorcycle, because those are going to have some high mileage, and older Sportster's probably been beat on and ran around some. So, but here is just an example of one we found by the house. we found a 2014 1200 Sportster Custom. It had the Evo 1200 motor in it. This has the 4.5 gallon fuel capacity. Now, some of the old Sportsters are known for having terrible fuel mileage because they only had a 1 gallon tank. You know, you're not going very far. But that all depends on the kind of riding you're going to do. And whatever that kind of riding is, there's a Sportster out there for it. But this particular one had the 4.5 gallon tank. And you're rocking with the 28-inch seat height that is going to fit any shorter-legged or smaller-framed person. But you're also not going to feel cramped on it if you're an average height anywhere from 5'8", 5'10" to 6'2". If you're 6'4" and you're real tall, you're probably going to feel like an elephant on a unicycle. But you're only looking at like 584 pounds to 592 pounds with a wet weight. That's something to take into consideration if you're new to motorcycles completely. Or if you're just coming from, say, sport bikes that aren't that heavy and you don't know how it's going to feel, but you're wanting to get in a laid-back cruiser a little bit more comfortable. But, you might worry about the weight and not think you can hold it up. This is your answer. And one downside of a Sportster that I think you and I can both agree on is that you're going to feel like you may outgrow it personally. That's part of the reason I may have skipped the beginner Sportster. But hey, Sportsters have a cult following behind them. And it's awesome to see what some of these Sportsters can be built into. They're just a great bike to start off on, and there's a lot of guys that end on Sportsters, man. They've been around for so long for a reason, and they're always going to sell, and you're always going to be able to find one, and you're always going to find parts for them. I would argue that a Sportster probably has the biggest aftermarket, if not equal to any other Harley on the market. So, Dad, what's your thoughts on the Sportster as a first bike?
This bike we found is it was a 2014, like Z said, it's $6,500. So if you had a $10,000 budget, you just came in under your budget, there's no way under God's green earth do I think you'd put an extra $3,500 in a Sportster to enjoy it and it be a bike that meets all your needs. Like he said, it's a lightweight, 584 pounds. Once your bike's rolling and you're riding it, you don't feel the weight. But when you need to move that thing around in your garage or turn it in a tight turn, when it's not under power or you're moving it manually, that's where you feel the weight. And Harleys jump up to 600 to 800 pounds rather quickly with things that are on them and their accessories and packages and things of that nature. But the Evolution motor, like Xander said, the Evolution motor saved Harley Davidson. There's a lot of people that believe that. Harley was struggling with motor design coming out of the AMF days and before we have twin cams, and there's a lot of twin cams coming up on our list. But the struggle for finding a quality motor, it hit when we found the Evolution engine. And Evos ran in everything from FXRs to the Sportsters and things of that nature. But this Sportster 1200 Custom, it still runs an Evo. It's a 1202 cc motor. That's more than enough power to haul that little 580-pound bike around, plus whatever your riding weight is. So you can't have an intro bike and somebody say, what am I looking for? You're not going to not mention a Sportster. I'm not into going out and buying a bike that you think you're going to ride for a season and then you're going to have to get rid of it and upgrade. That's why we didn't go with the 500 or the 750 back in the day of a Nightster or whatever, the earlier ones that were entry-level Harley Davidson bikes where they were trying to get people into Harleys. That bike, you're going to ride that, and when you get some confidence in your riding skill and your abilities, that bike's just not going to be your long-term bike. So I would rather start my journey buying a bike that I could get multiple seasons out of, or a bike I could keep forever. So now we threw out the numbers of the Evo motor and things. We're just going to reference my bike. I'm 6'2" tall. That's how tall I am. So when we talk about seat heights and things of that nature, I ride a 2014 Dyna Lowrider, and most people don't ride lowriders that are my height because they think they're built for shorter riders. The seat height of my bike is 26.8 inches rather than the 28 inches of the Sportster. The weight of my bike is 667 pounds when it's full of fluids. I have a 103 twin cam motor, but I have a 4.7 gallon fuel tank. I'm super comfortable on my lowrider. I do have mid controls, but the lowrider has the mid controls shoved about 2 inches forward, which makes my riding triangle more comfortable. At 6'2" tall, I have a longer torso and shorter legs. That's just my body build. That's why I think I can do the lowrider, but a lot of people don't like the lowrider. I am significantly taller than Xander, and his bike is a 2007 Dyna Street Bob, and the seat height of his bike is 25.8 inches. His also weighs 667 pounds. He has a 4.8 gallon gas tank, and he has a 96 cubic inch twin cam. But his foot controls are closer back to the mid. And when I sit on his bike, my riding triangle is not as comfortable in my hips. I feel a little bit of a pinch. It could be the difference in the heights of our seat. He runs a Lapera, I run a Saddleman. Mine's a little more cushion. But after I ride his bike for a while, and I love my hand positions on his bike, and the weight's fine, and his feels more nimble because you're giving the feedback and steering angle and things like that through higher T-bars, so that changes the feel. But the rider triangle from my seat to my hips to where my feet are on the pegs, I don't feel as comfortable, but it fits him way better. So therein is our dilemma of when you're looking at what bike do I need to start looking at. You should always go and sit on these bikes. You should always go and touch and feel and make sure it's comfortable. Listen to them run. If you can get a test ride or a ride day at a place where they're demoing bikes, it's great. But our bikes weigh the same. When you move them in our garage, they feel the same. Our seat heights are different. Our riding triangles are different. Our bikes are 7 years apart. They're both on a Dyna frame, but they both feel different to both of us.
Absolutely.
So then we jump over and we think, well, what else can we get? If you're looking to get a touring bike, there was significant frame changes for Harley Davidson after 2016 in the Rushmore project for the Street Glide and Road Glide and the Road King and the Ultra Classics and things of that nature. And those frames have continued to change. So there was a couple years of just some not so great touring bikes from Harley Davidson. They were at the end of their phase, waiting to start the new phase. So when you go 2016 and newer, those touring bikes are hard to find at 10 grand in our area. I didn't find any.
Me neither.
But a touring bike is also, a Road King is a touring bike. So we found a 2008 Road King custom, and it was at a price tag of $6,750, and it had 10,700 miles on it. And here's what a Road King gives you. It still doesn't have a fairing, but it has a touring chassis. It has hard bags. It has a 25.8 inch seat height, 4.8 gallon fuel tank. It goes to 740 pounds. So you just jumped up almost 100 pounds by adding some bags and changing the frame of our Dynas. Again, when you're rolling, and if that makes you feel comfortable, great. But realize if you're new to getting into a Harley Davidson, weight can be a little bit intimidating. Bulk and length and wheelbase can be intimidating. So you just have to find a bike that fits you. But if we're talking somebody that thinks, hey, I'm going to get back into Harleys. I rode 30 years ago, but I rode an old BSA or a Triumph. But I have some friends who like to go on weekend trips, and I think I'd like to ride with them. But man, I got 10 grand max I'm going to spend. I think you spend $6,700 to $7,000 on an older Road King, put your $2 grand in upgrading the seat and suspension, maybe get you a removable windshield. You can tour on that bike for another decade.
Absolutely. And that's like you mentioned, this rider that Dad just came up with, some short weekend road trips that you might not be pounding thousands of miles or anything in a day, but hey, you're riding a state over and you're going to be on the road for a couple hours at a time, but you're stopping frequently. That Road King's awesome because you're going to have the bags, you're going to have a touring frame that's set up to take bumps on the road and ride long distance, and you're coming in at a great price point. But you also got to decide, what kind of riding are you doing? And that Road King is going to be great for your short little trips. And you also got to think to yourself, man, with these touring bikes, how many older touring bikes do you still see on the road? And I'll be honest, it's more than you think. I would say, at least in our area, we see more early 2000s into the 2015 and older touring bikes. We see more of those on the road around here than newer. And they are running strong. They look great. They sound great. And guys are having a blast on them. And they're doing everything they want. So, with the aftermarket world nowadays, if you come into this, say, particular Road King at $6,500, you're going to have your $10,000 budget to do some upgrades that are going to make that thing really challenge a lot of the newer bikes. And the Road King has been around forever. And I think it's one of the Harley Davidson models that has looked very similar since it's been introduced. I mean, if you look at a modern Road King and look at a Road King from the early 90s, that it doesn't look very much different. So a Road King Custom is an awesome bike, I think, for a newer rider that is trying to pinch a couple pennies and keep on that touring side. But let's say you're not doing very much touring and you're wanting to get a cruise around, something that's going to be fun, something you can work on and wrench on, but not fixing things, but you can wrench on it and add parts to it, and you're going to be able to have a good time making everything you want on it. Well, take me for example. This is a 2008 Dyna Street Bob that we found around the house. We found this for the price tag of $6,499 with 16,000 miles on it, which, if you know anything about a twin cam motor, that ain't very much. And a twin cam is just an awesome engine, and they're known for their longevity. That's why they ran it in everything for such a long time. And there's a cult following behind the twin cam. I love a twin cam motor, and you can do just about anything you want to them, and you're not going to be too in depth, and really they're quite easy to work on. But you're looking at this Street Bob particularly is a 25.8 inch seat height. It's got a 4.8 gallon tank, and you're only at 637 pounds. So you're about 100 pounds lighter than the previous bike. you don't have bags, but you can add saddlebags, throw over like I did, because we don't do weekend trips at the moment. Now, is that something we would love to do? Absolutely. This bike could do it. You'd have to do a little bit more preparation, and you're going to have to add some bags to it and maybe wear a backpack or add a sissy bar and mount a bag onto the sissy bar with your tank, throw over the saddlebags. But you're also going to have a bike that you can take out in the evening, and you've got 30 minutes to run a back road that's going to loop around to your house. This is that bike for you. And I am a shorter person. I'm not as tall as Dad, and this motorcycle fits me well. And there are even taller people than me that ride a street bob. And a street bob is one of the bikes that also has looked very similar its whole time. And it's the Dyna frame. I love the Dyna frame personally, and you can really work on these. They're a great bike to any new rider that's trying to learn what a Harley Davidson is about, and you're going to see the touch of old school, but also some modernness in a Dyna frame. Yeah. And that's why me and Dad love them so much, is you can really get into the Harley Davidson culture with this bike. So, Dad, touch on your thoughts on the Dyna.
Dynas, they're great cruisers. They're going to be your evening hoppers. They're going to be your restaurant runners. They're going to be a Saturday, Sunday ride. You can ride them as much as you want. You can adjust all the things, and they're very easy to work on. Simple tools. They're not too heavy to put on like a home lift. You can be very comfortable. They're very forgiving for you to learn on. It's a great motorcycle, a great platform, tried and true motor. Dynas rose back to prominence and some culture fun in Sons of Anarchy. That's what all the Sons of Anarchy guys rode, were Dyna frame bikes. So they became way more popular during that fame. And that drove the price of them up for a while. And I mean, they quit making Dynas, so it's just one to hang on to. We both ride Dynas, and they're very comfortable. But I'm thinking, if I was going to, when I bought my Dyna, a bike that was on my list of looking for, and I actually found one of these today, and I love these, and I tell Xander all the time, this will be a bike we have in our fleet, is...
Let me interrupt you. This is one of the most classic and one of the best looking Harleys ever made. And it will forever be one of our favorites. And why we might not have one now in the garage, but one day one of us, if not both of us, will have one.
I mean, it's going to be a Softail Deluxe. The Softail frame takes the rear shock, mounts it up under the bike. For years it was up under the bike. Now they're under the seat pan as they've adjusted that technology. A Softail is just a beautiful bike. It's a Harley staple. They still run the Softail line. It's going to be around. It's just timeless, and it's a great bike. So I found a Softail Deluxe, which is one of the most customizable Softails. You see these from Vicla style. You see them from wide spoke wheels and white walls and custom factory paint, or custom paint out of whatever you can dream they throw on these things. They do a lot of scroll work on rocker boxes. I mean, there is a whole culture that works on Softail Deluxe. They just embrace that, but they are riders. We found one is a 2014 Softail Deluxe with 6,000 miles, and it was 10 grand exactly. So it was the top of our budget. But this bike came with detachable bags. You could take them on and off with just a click. It had a removable detachable windshield. It has a 5-gallon fuel tank. It has a 24.5-inch seat height, which is lower seat height than my Dyna. But this bike runs floorboards, and they're slightly forward. And with those floorboards, you have more real estate where you can put your feet forward or back. Your levers are out there. It's not forward controls by any means, but it's adjusted in that rider triangle.
And
I think a Softail Deluxe is beautiful. The Tombstone tail light, they are just awesome. It's just a fun bike to have. So
there are some staple looks and some. I think the Softail Deluxe is one of those bikes that when you think of Harley Davidson, that bike comes to mind. Oh, I mean, for a while, it seemed like every Harley Davidson t-shirt had a Softail Deluxe on it. And it is the bike that many people picture in their mind when they think of Harley Davidson. And it just comes with some great features. Like you said, it runs the floorboards, which gives you the extra space to put your feet and mount your pegs. And a lot of guys love it because they get the chance to run a heel-toe shifter. That's a big thing for some people. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it comes with, you said detachable bags, but they used to come with the full-size bags that like the baggers had, correct?
Yeah, leather. There were those leather bags.
Leather bags. But they were, detachable. You could run them off and on. And that is a great bike for the average guy that's kind of just getting into motorcycles. If you don't know what kind of riding you want to do, well, you want to go on a longer trip for the weekend, the Softail frame is super comfortable to ride on. And it's going to be your smaller bike, but it has the ability to pound the pavement and put down the miles. You're going to have that little bit of comfort over a Dyna. And it will give you that chance that you have those bigger detachable leather bags. You can put your things in it, but you're not that kind of rider and you're thinking, I'm just going to beat around the house and hop around and have fun on it and ride. Take the bags off and you don't have to deal with that weight. And you've got a slim, good-looking Harley Davidson that's going to sound good, look good, and feel good while you're sitting on top of it.
Well, but the dry weight of the Softail Deluxe jumps up from over the Dyna. It's a much bigger bike in appearance, but it only goes up like 35 pounds. It's great. The change is this year model went up to the 103 twin cam. That's what I run on my Dyna. It's plenty of power. Gets great fuel mileage. You're talking 41, 42 miles a gallon of gas. So you're going over 200 miles on a tank of gas. And by then you're ready to get off and stretch your legs anyway. So in that Softail Deluxe model, we also looked at the 2015 Softail Slim, which again is a 103 twin cam. It's a 5-gallon fuel tank. It's a 23.8-inch seat height. It's a lower framed bike. It only has 672 pounds of weight to it. But the Slim is exactly what it sounds like. It was more narrow in its tins. It was more narrow in its seat. It was lower in its seat height. And it was designed for shorter riders or females. Harley pushed this bike, but it has a huge following of people who have them, love them, don't get rid of them. But they discontinued this model. But we found this 2015 Softail Slim, and it checked in at $6,500 with 7,500 miles on it. So it has a lot of life left. People ask, well, what's a high mileage Harley Davidson? A dealership will list a bike that has high mileage on it at 60,000 plus. So there's lots of guys touring on touring bikes that have over 100,000. There's a lot of people who have multiple 100,000. There's a couple Road Warrior guys who have, I think a guy just went over 800,000 on an electric glide over the summer. Harley did a big write-up about him. There's a couple guys that are doing some significant touring. Adam Sandoval took a bagger and did ridiculous. He set a Guinness World Record for riding. Had so many people in the longest parade, but I think he hit every Harley dealership in the country over the period of a little more than a year and a half, maybe 2 years of continuous riding. He did roadside camping, tent camping, KOAs. Friends would let him stay with him, but he stayed on the road all that time and put all these miles on a bagger and touring motorcycle. He still has it in his home, in his garage that you can see on his YouTube channel, but those guys put tons of miles on these bikes. So I put our mileage at under 20,000, none of these bikes that we've listed, even like one of them had 16,000 and it was a street bob. But most of these bikes coming in under $10,000. We're talking about the bike I bought is a 2014. I'm the third owner, and the day I picked it up, it had 1,086 miles on it. It wasn't even broken in. People buy these bikes, they think they're going to ride them, or they ride them and something changes in their life and then they need to sell them, or it's a toy. Your passions change for toys. So if you love motorcycles, you can always find a great deal buying a used motorcycle. If they get to a point one day that you just have to have a new one, they'll sell you a new one. I'm just not the person that thinks I have to have the newest toys. I ride I drive a 10-year-old truck. I drive an 11-year-old motorcycle. And they get me everywhere I want to go without any problems. So
There you go.
We haven't had major mechanical issues, knock on wood, with our bikes. And they are a little bit older. We've done some motor work to Xander's, but it's easy stuff. There are lots of, the dealer network for Harley Davidson is so easy. And you can go in and buy a couple of these bikes I pulled out here tonight. We're at dealerships. So that's dealership prices. Those prices, you go in with some cash in your hand or just haggle a little bit, you're walking out there with a different deal. You may pay that price but get an extended warranty, or get them to change your bars and seat and pegs in a deal because that's what you want to upgrade first. There's a lot of ability to do that. But there are also some private sellers who, hey, maybe they've had that bike for 10 years and they're ready to move on for it, and they've been eyeing a new one and they're about to retire and they're going to reward themselves with a brand new one, but they know if they go trade it in, it's not going to be a trade-in value that they want. So they're willing to hand it down at a deal to somebody who's looking to get into a passionate hobby that they've enjoyed for years, and they're just kind of paying it forward.
And yeah, I mean, if you're looking at, like you said, we found some of these at a dealership, and I can think of one particular place by the house that I know you're going to know where it is. This place was a dealership back in the day, and then over time, you know, it was a Victory dealership. Well, Victory went out of business, and that place kind of lost it, but they just stayed as a shop that works on motorcycles, and he sells used bikes now. Their business model just changed, and they sell aftermarket, work on motorcycles, and he sells used. He is known for having Harley Davidsons specifically for a great price. And I looked at 2 or 3 at this shop before I bought mine, and I ended up buying private sale, and was super stoked from who I bought it from. Bought it from a great guy. But this shop particularly, you know, they're known for having great deals by the house. Don't be scared to look at these places that are not a Harley dealership. Now, if you can go in and buy a used Harley from Harley Davidson, that's awesome too. You might not get the best deal, but they might be able to throw in some stuff that another place can't be. There is going to be pros and cons to everything.
We have other bikes on our list, like a Softail Standard, which is one of the most customizable bikes Harley Davidson makes. A Softail Deuce from early in the 2000s. We tried to stay fuel-injected bikes on our list rather than carbureted bikes. Again, going back to, if you're new to motorcycles and you don't know how finicky carburation is in temperature, if you get a tank of bad gas, if you're going to go ride in elevation, we just tried to eliminate some very simple variables for us. But we know people that are looking just for carbureted bikes. If you watch Thrashing's vlog, or even the 2-Lane Life guys, they did a Sturgis ride from California, and all of them rode carbureted bikes because it was just something they said, we're going to do it. So it was awesome, but they go through elevation. Those guys rip and ride at some speeds, and they ended up doing their whole trip, took them extra days because they were riding like 70 miles an hour to keep these older carbureted bikes together. They had a guy riding with them on a 59 model pan shovel chopper, so his bike wouldn't rattle apart as a rigid. but they all rode carbureted bikes, and they went 1,700 miles one way, and they all made it, and they all ran fine, and none of them are new.
Yeah.
And they put a budget of buying bikes that cost no more than $5,000.
Yeah. And you shouldn't be scared of a carburetor if you're coming from a background of a dirt bike perspective, and especially two strokes, which we are around here. I ride with a guy a lot that is running a 2004 Electra Glide that is an 88 twin cam carbureted, and it was a literal barn find that they pulled out of a garage that was buried, low miles, bought it for a great price, and that thing absolutely rips. And a Harley carburetor isn't finicky like dirt bikes were, but you're also going to have to do some smaller adjustments that you just wouldn't have to think of for fuel injection, which is what draws people to fuel injection. But hey, pros and cons. But we built our list, like Dad said, with fuel injection as one of the things, because you're new to riding or just new to the Harley Davidson world. It's one less thing you got to worry about.
You can find them that look like what you want. And granted, you're going to buy a motorcycle that appeals to you visually, but it has to be comfortable. It has to meet your needs in riding. And when you ride a certain way, you're going to meet people, and then your riding styles are going to change. Your riding demands are probably going to change, and you're going to be ready to upgrade in motorcycle. Most people don't still have the first car they drove when they were 16. So you're going to change your wants and your needs for motorcycles. As we get older, we look at things. There are guys who are transitioning to trikes, and just to stay in the wind, open wheels, riding free, clears your brain. It's just a reset button. So we love motorcycling, and the fact that somebody reached out in a comment and was like, hey, I don't know anything about Harleys. What direction could I look at if I had a limited budget? I'm thinking of used, and my suggestion to them is buy used, what you need. Here's some options of bikes. Buy it as cheap as you can, that is as good a quality as you can, and use the extra to turn it into your own and address the things like your riding triangle, what you may want the paint to look like. If it's not the color you want, painting a motorcycle is not very expensive. You can change decals, you can change grips, you can change everything on that bike can be changed. But you just get into it and get out and ride. You know, get out and experience something new. And there's a lot of people that are scared to death, and I understand they have fear of motorcycles being unsafe, but you know what? You only go around this planet one time, and I believe God's got a plan for all of us, and He protects us even in sometimes our ignorance. And I'm going to let Him just watch out for me, and I'm going to have fun and be respectful and do my best to live for Him. But at the same time, I'm going to enjoy this beautiful world He put me on, and I'm going to enjoy some motorcycles that He allowed people to develop and gave them the intelligence to create us some things to have some fun on. So with that being said, we're going to get out of here tonight. And a little bit of next week, we're going to talk about probably some of our top 5 scenic routes in West Virginia. We have some friends who just came back from a ride. We're going to pick their brain. We're going to throw in some rides we've been on, and we're going to list them and give you something to talk about and give you some destinations and places you can go see that are around those areas. And that's where I think we're going to drive the bus. So Z, if you want to take us out, go ahead and take us out. It's been great to talk to you. Again, keep the comments coming. We enjoy it, and we hope you guys will comment back to us some of what you think a starter motorcycle should be. And we'll just continue to have these great talks and debates, and we'll listen to your ideas. And hey, it's your idea, so I'm not going to debate whether it's right or wrong. We're just going to listen to some rational thought, and we're going to get along, and we're going to, if we disagree, we disagree, but we're just going to move on and try to grow this community and push it forward and be positive and try to help as many people out as we can. So, okay, Z, take us out.
Yeah, let us know what y'all's first Harley Davidson was, or even better yet, what was your first road bike? Let us know in the comments. But this is it for today's conversation, guys. thanks for joining us here on the Bikers and Backroads podcast. Remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this. That helps this channel grow, and we can grow this community. Remember, we're on all the major podcasts. That's iTunes, Podbean, and we're also on YouTube. So however you want to watch us, we're there. Thanks again for coming and stopping by. We'll holler at y'all next time.
You riders, stay safe and be blessed. Thanks for joining us.